Hi, I'm Kathy Grove, and this is my husband Larry. This is one of the newest additions to our farm family, our little baby boy goat. And we want to welcome you to Bell Ridge Farm, which we bought about 5-6 years ago and decided about 2 years ago to put into conservation easement. Larry and I gave a lot of consideration to the results of putting our land in conservation easement. One of the things we thought about, of course, were our children and the effects on them of putting our land in conservation easement. All of our children, when we discussed it with them, said they would rather see the land in conservation easement than worry about their inheritance. They would rather see the land protected from development. But we've tried to give them, and have succeeded in transferring to them, some of our tax credits, which have benefited them while we're alive and while they most need that help, in advance of when they would be inheriting our property.
We were very drawn to this piece of property from the minute that we saw it, for a whole slew of reasons. I mean, the three that stand out to me the most are, first, that this farm has a tremendous agricultural heritage. It's been in continuous agricultural production in one form or another since the 18th century, both as an apple orchard and then more recently as an organic vegetable and fruit farm. Secondly, the farm's location is very attractive because it borders right up to Shenandoah National Park, which is one of our country's foremost protected areas, and that makes the farm increasingly important as habitat for wildlife and biodiversity more generally. And then finally, the property has great importance to the county, both visually and historically. You can literally see Sunnyside from the town of Washington and from a variety of other places in Rappahannock County. There are a lot of people who, in one way or another, still live in this county who grew up on this farm. And it's a very important part of the history of this county. And that's what attracted us to the property, and that's why, in a lot of respects, we chose to put the property in easement, because those were precisely the values that we wanted to protect for forever and for well beyond the time that we're fortunate enough to be here.
Well, we considered ourselves fortunate in 2004 that we could buy a place like this, and we had seen what had been done to parts of Loudoun County, and we didn't want to see that done here. So we were delighted at the opportunity to put our property in a conservation easement.
And our property is relatively small. We only have 70 acres, which is a whole lot for us, but not a lot relative to conservation easements. And we were fortunate that VOF allowed us to put our property in easement, in part because of the house you can see behind you, which has been around since before the Civil War, and will be here a lot longer than we are, we imagine. And that's part of why we're happy that we were able to do this, because we have a historic home and it's a historic piece of land. And in truth, we don't know much about farming. We haven't been in Rappahannock forever, and yet we feel like we owe it to this piece of land to be good stewards for the time that we're here and beyond our tenure.
Welcome to Mount Vernon Farm and to the Thornton River. We are right outside of Sperryville, and we're on land that my family has owned since 1827. So I'm the 5th generation. My goal is to preserve Mount Vernon for generations to come, and to preserve this county for generations to come. So our goal was to try to protect it, and try to protect it in a way that my family felt comfortable with. We became a limited liability company in about '92. And we did that so that we could transfer the ownership effectively as we could to the next generation, or the next several generations. I determined that the best way to make sure it was preserved, because things change, is to put it in easement. And so I proposed to the family that we do that. We got a unanimous vote of yes to do it, and so we did that maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. I might say that we put our land under, and now Mr. Johnson across the road has put his land under, and we've got several other landowners who I hope will put their land under, and we'll pretty well have covered this side of Sperryville to make sure that there won't be any outlandish growth.
I'm Sherry Woodard, and my husband Martin and I bought this farm. It's 100 acres off of Route 231, which is a scenic byway. We bought it August in 2005, and one of the goals we had when we bought it was to put it into conservation easement as quickly as we could to help protect and have this place for ever for our family, and to keep it as one big parcel.
I didn't have any concerns from a financial point of view, because I think that a place like this really is best served being in one large tract rather than 25 places with houses on the hills.
This is our grandson Gabe, and his parents receive a gift of tax credits, which is a nice thing you can do that the lawyers made us aware of. So they've been able to benefit already in the easement. The federal donation deduction, the charitable deduction, has really helped lower our income tax that's due, and that has helped then free up cash to do other things around the farm. And that whole strategy, of course, when you're in easement, then your land is taxed at land use rates, and that definitely helps on paying your property taxes too.
I think anytime you drive through Rappahannock County, whether you are a tourist or a resident, you're struck by the complexity of the landscape, the mountains, the open pastures, mile after mile with no stoplights, nothing but cows and sheep and horses, and it's a treasure.
We are so grateful to live in Rappahannock County. The beautiful mountains that provide the backdrop to the change in seasons, the fall with the multicolored foliage, the spring when the blossoms are opening up and the trees are turning green, the clean rivers and streams. It's a beautiful place to live, and it's a place we want to preserve.